Breaking news! Something unexpected is happening in Dolphins camp, and it's not Tyreek, Tua, or Waddle. It's a rookie, fresh out of Arizona, who's quietly becoming one of the most talked about players on the bench. Coaches are watching, veterans are excited, and the front office made a bold move to sign him, beating out the Patriots for a pick. His name? Jonah, and he could be the missing piece to fix everything that's gone wrong with this offensive line. But is he really the answer, or just another gamble the front office is taking on shaky ground? Let's take a look. But first, make sure you click the like button if you've been a Miami Dolphins fan for 20 plus years. It's great to see fans of all ages. If you think you're a diehard Miami Dolphins fan, comment "Let's go Dolphins." Let's dive into the story. Jonah. Remember that name. Miami moved aggressively in the draft to scoop him up with the 37th overall pick, trading a third and fourth to get back into the second round, leapfrogging the New England Patriots in the process, who reportedly had their eyes set on him at pick 38. That's right, Greer finally did something that felt like a win, stealing a promising offensive lineman right out from under a division rival. But the question remains, was this just luck, or is Sionia really the anchor Miami's offensive line has been missing? If you've been paying attention to the whispers from Dolphins minicamp, the buzz around Sionia is getting louder. Teammates and coaches are singing his praises, with veteran James Daniels leading the chorus. Daniels even went so far as to compare Jonah to his old teammate Isaac Seumalo, one of the premier guards in the NFL. That's not small talk. Daniels noted Jonah's constant work ethic, texting for advice, asking questions, putting in reps. This kid wants it, and fans should be fired up about that. There's been talk about where Jonah will slot in on the line. He's seen reps at both guard spots, but putting him at right guard, nestled between two veterans like Aaron Brewer and Austin Jackson, seems to be the smartest move. That setup gives Jonah the stability and mentorship he needs while allowing his athleticism and versatility to shine. Remember, this is a guy who logged snaps at both tackle spots and both guard positions during his college career at Arizona. That kind of flexibility is rare and invaluable, especially in a zone run scheme like Miami's. And let's be honest, the offensive line last year was an embarrassment. Ranked 27th in run blocking and 20th in pass blocking by Pro Football Focus, the Dolphins were bottom 10 in yards per carry and dead last, yes, dead last, in rush first down percentage. It's no wonder the offense became one-dimensional, relying too much on Tua and the air game. The inability to convert on short yardage and red zone attempts was maddening, and it's one of the biggest reasons the Dolphins couldn't take the next step last season. Now, enter Jonah and James Daniels. Both are physical, both are nasty in the trenches, and both are tailor-made for what McDaniel claims he wants this offense to be in 2025, balanced. We've heard Mike say he wants to run the ball more, that he wants a more physical team in November, December, and January. Well, Jonah is built for that. His zone blocking ability is well documented, with a 62.2 zone run block grade at right guard in 2023. That's his wheelhouse, and it's exactly what McDaniel needs to reestablish the run game that made this offense special 2 seasons ago. The ripple effect of a better offensive line is massive. With a legitimate run threat, play action opens up. Defenses get pulled in, safeties bite, and suddenly Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are smoking defenders deep with more space than ever. It's simple football physics. And if Tua can stay healthy and the offensive line can protect him while creating lanes for the backs, this offense can return to being one of the most feared in the league. But here's where the conversation turns. Did the Dolphins do enough in free agency and the draft to fully fix this O-line? Is Jonah ready to be that guy in year 1, or are we asking too much too soon? And with Greer still in charge, remember, the same Greer who's left this line patchwork for years, how confident can we really be that they finally figured it out? Because if Jonah isn't that guy, and if James Daniels doesn't anchor this group the way we all hope, then what? We're right back to where we were last season, stuck in a loop of flashy highlights and underwhelming playoff exits. That's the fear, and it's a very real one for Dolphins fans who've been waiting decades for this franchise to get it right in the trenches. The last thing we need is another year of watching Tua scramble for his life on 3rd and long, or Mostert get stuffed up the middle when we need 1 damn yard. But there's a glimmer here. Look at what's being said inside the building. Daniels didn't just sign here for the weather. He made it crystal clear. This team is trying to get more physical. His quote, "You cannot be physical and run. You can't just toss the ball every play and just circle defenses. That's why I thought I was brought here." That's a veteran who's been around the block, and he sees the writing on the wall. Miami knows they've been soft at the point of attack. They know they've relied too much on finesse. And with this roster, especially the offense, you can feel that sense of urgency. McDaniel might be quirky and creative, but he's also feeling the pressure. He's got the speed. He's got the quarterback. Now he's got to prove he can mold a balanced, disciplined unit that doesn't fold when the weather turns cold and the pads get heavy. That starts with guys like Jonah. He's not just here to plug a hole, he's here to change the identity of this offense. That's the expectation. That's the weight on his shoulders. And judging by the chatter from minicamp, he's not shying away from it. He's asking questions. He's working overtime. He wants to be great. But none of that matters if it doesn't translate on Sundays. And this is where I get a little nervous. You've got Patrick Paul likely starting at left tackle, a rookie, and you're potentially putting another rookie right next to him at left guard if Jonah doesn't lock down the right side. That's a lot of youth, a lot of inexperience, and not a lot of room for error. Ideally, you slot Jonah at right guard between two veterans and let him grow in a controlled environment. Let the physical tools shine, let the instincts develop, and let him become a core piece of what should be a much more aggressive and efficient ground game. But we've seen the Dolphins mess this up before. Liam Eichenberg, Solomon Kindley, the list goes on. Prospects with promise who were put in bad situations and never recovered. That's the fear with Jonah. He's got all the tools. The film from Arizona shows a mauler who can pull, get to the second level, and finish blocks with authority. But if they mismanage his development, if they put him in the wrong spot or overload him too early, it could be another wasted draft pick. And in a year where the window feels wide open, Miami cannot afford that. So what does this all come down to? Execution, coaching, development. Jonah can be a game changer, but only if the Dolphins make smart decisions with how they deploy him. He's not a savior, yet. He's not a sure thing. But he has the potential to be the heartbeat of a rebuilt offensive line. That's the hope. That's the gamble. And if this works, if Jonah and Daniels elevate this group, then suddenly the conversation changes. Suddenly, you're not just talking about playoff hopes. You're talking about playoff wins. Road wins. Cold weather wins. The kind of wins that have eluded this franchise for far too long. Because let's face it, Flash doesn't win in January. Physicality does. And for the first time in years, it feels like the Dolphins might finally be embracing that truth. Let's keep it rolling, because there's more to unpack here when it comes to Jonah Tagovailoa and what his presence really means for this Dolphins team, not just in terms of raw talent, but identity. That's what this conversation is really about. For too long, Miami has had an identity crisis on offense. 1 minute, they're airing it out with explosive plays to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. The next, they're stalling out in the red zone because they can't run for 2 yards when it matters most. That has to change, and Jonah might just be the key. The Dolphins haven't had a consistent, dominant presence at guard in years. Too many patchwork solutions. Too many experiments gone wrong. But Jonah brings a different kind of profile. He's young, yes, but he's played everywhere on the line. That's not just versatility, that's adaptability. And in this scheme, that matters more than people realize. When you run a zone-based system like Mcdaniel's, your linemen have to be quick off the ball, smart with their assignments, and agile enough to reach linebackers at the second level. Jonah checks those boxes. That's why the Dolphins didn't hesitate to move up and snag him, even if it meant giving up additional picks to do it. Still, here's the thing that's being talked about in Dolphins circles. Was this move about Jonah's potential, or was it a desperation move to finally plug a hole Greer should have fixed years ago? That's the tough question. Because if Jonah wasn't there at 37, if the Patriots had taken him 1 pick later, then what? Would Miami have just settled for a lesser player? Would we be looking at another Liam Eichenberg situation where they draft a guy and pray he works out? That's why this pick has to hit, not just for 2025, but for the long-term vision of this team. If Jonah becomes the kind of player Daniels believes he can be, a physical, relentless mauler in the trenches, then Miami's offense evolves.